Hi, I'm Hanbit, and I'm a pastry chef from Korea. Hi everybody, it's Hanbit here. 안녕하세요, 조한빛입니다. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make an amazing flan. Other names for flan would be creme caramel or the caramel pudding. As you can see, it's going to taste amazing with the custard bottom and the caramel top. You can make this with simple ingredients that you can find in a regular home kitchen. So please try it. You'll love it. I'll first go through the ingredients. On this side, I've got ingredients for the caramel, so I've got sugar and water. I know it's different from the standard caramel, and if you've watched my previous upload, it was actually one of my first uploads on YouTube on how to make caramel. It actually involved using sugar and heavy cream, whereas with this caramel, I'm just going to use sugar and a bit of water, so it's slightly different. And on this side, I've got ingredients for the custard. Here, it's a mixture of whole eggs and egg yolks. I've used the mix of the two because egg yolks help enrich the overall flavor. And here, it's a mixture of heavy cream and milk. And finally, vanilla. You do want vanilla and you want real vanilla. And I'm going to scrape the seeds from the vanilla, and it's really going to make a lot of difference. You can use vanilla extract, but to be honest, I only use vanilla extract to get rid of the egginess. And when I really want the vanilla flavor, I use real vanilla. Right, so the first step of making the flan or the creme caramel is to make the caramel. And once I make the caramel, I'm going to pour it into the ramekins and let it set in the fridge. As I mentioned earlier, this caramel is slightly different from the standard caramel. It's caramel that's made from just sugar alone with a bit of water. And you want the water to be hot. It is hot at the moment, but it's going to drop in temperature as I make the caramel out of the sugar. So I'm going to reheat it just before I use it so that it's around kind of 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. And the reason is because you don't want to drastically drop the temperature of your caramel when you pour the water in. So you want the water to be fairly hot. I'm going to add the sugar into the saucepan. The tip here is that you don't want to overdo your caramel, as in burn it too much, because that's going to give too much of the burnt flavor, which I don't like. So to get the timing right, there are a couple of things you can do. In order to melt or burn the sugar nicely and evenly, what you can do is A, use a saucepan with kind of a large surface area, a large bottom, so that you can evenly melt the sugar. And B, rather than adding all the sugar in at once, just add in a couple of steps or even 3 steps. And that way, as you see the sugar melting, you can add the rest of the sugar in, and that will help you evenly melt the sugar. I know that some of you might ask if you can stir the sugar so that you can evenly melt it, and yes you can in this case. And that's because you're not making syrup here, as in you're not melting the sugar in water to start with, which means you don't have to worry about crystallization. So yes, you can stir it with your spatula. Great, I'm going to add the rest of the sugar. Feel free to take it on and off the heat to control the amount of heat applied to the saucepan. I can see that all the sugar has melted, and you can also see some small bubbles, and that means you are ready. You're almost there. Do you see the small bubbles there? Right, I like this color, and now I'm going to add in the hot water. Once you see those bubbles coming, you're going to add in the hot water. Just be careful, it's really hot. Don't add all the water in at once because it's going to blow up. So just add it in several steps. So you've got that nice color, right? Nice dark brown color. Now I'm going to pour this into the ramekins. Before the caramel sets, so while it's hot, I'm going to pour it into the ramekins. And the amount that you pour into the ramekins depends completely on the size of your ramekin. So feel free to adjust it. Perfect, now I'm going to put this in the fridge, let it set completely, and in the meanwhile, I'm going to work on the custard. For the custard, I'm going to infuse the vanilla into my milk and heavy cream. So the milk and heavy cream goes into the saucepan. I'm going to scrape the vanilla seeds from the vanilla pod. I've turned the heat on and I'm going to heat this up, but I'm not going to boil it. Because if you boil it, then you'll be reducing the amount of liquid, which you don't want, because that's going to alter the overall percentages. So I'm just going to heat it up just before the boiling point. Right, I see bubbles on the side, so now I'm going to turn it off. I'm also going to cover it with cling film. And this will help capture more of the vanilla flavor. And so now I'm going to leave it like this for about 10 minutes and then work on the rest. Here I've got my whole eggs and egg yolks, the mixture, and sugar. I'm going to add in the sugar. You want to dissolve the sugar, and it's all about kind of mixing it in rather than incorporating air, so just be gentle with it. By the way, it's helpful to mix your egg yolks and eggs and pass that through a sieve before using it, because it'll give you a smoother texture, and that's what you want with your flans, right? Here's my milk and heavy cream that's been infused with vanilla. It's still very warm, well actually it's very warm, and I'm going to pour it in while mixing it. I can see that vanilla, the specks of vanilla seeds. It's going to be so good. Perfect, I'm now ready to pour this into my ramekins. If you feel that your mixture is slightly lumpy here and there, then feel free to pass it through a sieve because you want a very smooth mixture. You can see that the caramel has set nicely in the fridge. So now I'm going to pour the custard on top. By the way, you will inevitably end up with some bubbles inside the mixture, and the best way to get rid of them is to use a blowtorch. It's as easy as that. So now it's just a matter of baking this in the oven using a hot water bath. Sunflower, my flans have just come out of the oven, and I'm going to take the ramekins out of the water bath. What you want to see from your flans when it's just out of the oven is pretty much like creme brulee, so that you want them to be a bit wobbly. You can see that they're wobbly, right? And if they're not, that means you've over-baked them. But you don't want to over-bake them because you want these flans to be smooth and delicious. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this sit outside for a bit to cool down, and then put it in the fridge to set and chill. Right, so I've got my flan here, or my caramel pudding, nicely chilled. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the edge with a knife. And I'm just going to smoothly cut the edge, and so that it can actually come out of the ramekin. But the tip here is that I'm actually going to dip it in hot water for a bit, so that the caramel that has set at the bottom, which is actually going to be the top, because I'm going to turn this round. And so the caramel at the bottom is actually hard. And if you think about it, it's been in the fridge, so it would have hardened. And so I want to soften it up a bit. So I'm going to dip it in hot water for a bit, and then cut the caramel pudding along the edge. Right, it's time to try this. I know that this is going to taste fantastic. Oh wow, look at that texture. Look at the specks of vanilla, and the pudding, and the caramel. You know, it just melted in my mouth. The custard and the caramel, it just can't get better than that. It's fantastic, it is so delicious. Right, so how was it? As long as you can get the caramel part right at the very beginning, the rest is super easy. Do try this dessert next time at a dinner party, and you're going to impress your friends and families. I'll come back next time with another amazing recipe. Thank you very much. 감사합니다. For more YouTube videos, please click here. If you want to take a step further with your baking and pastry, then please visit my website on www.hanbitcho.com. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.